Alright, let us do a deck tech on a new deck I've been playing. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. It is the Scape Shift version 2, actually. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Look at the breakdown. It is 60 out of 60 cards. Right now it is green, blue, white, which are the band colors. And so going down the list here, we've got Arboreal Grazer. One green for a 0/3, and when it enters, it's got reach, so it's a nice early blocker. And when it enters the battlefield, we can put a land card from our hand onto the battlefield tapped. So a little ramp there, which is nice. 2 Llanowar Elves. That's one of the changes I made in V2. I just wanted a little more ramp. I mean, this deck's got a ton of it, but I wanted a little bit more to kind of accelerate getting things out, getting things off. So I've got 2 Llanowar Elves in there. 4 Growth Spirals. Our first multicolor card. It is an instant. We can draw a card when we cast it, and if we have a land, especially like a land that taps when it comes into play, we can just put that onto the battlefield. So it still taps, but it's a good way to get those lands that do tap, come in tapped, which we have plenty of, onto the battlefield. And I mean, when it misses, it sucks, but if we don't have any lands in our hand and we cast it and don't get a land, it's kind of a little bit of waste of mana for 2 mana just to draw a card. But when it does stick and when it does go off, it's great. So we got 4 of those. 4 Elvish Rejuvenators. Again, more ramp. These are 1/1 for 3 mana. It kind of sucks, but when they come into the battlefield, we can look at the top 5 of our library and put a land card from among those 5 onto the battlefield tapped. So that's quite nice. Again, gets those lands out as quickly as possible. And there are other 3 mana ramp spells. Grow from the Ashes. So we got 2 copies of that, 4 of the Rejuvenator. And this is an interesting card. It's for 3 mana. We get to look for a basic land, put it onto the battlefield, and then if we kick it for 2 more, so 5 mana total, we get to search our library for 2 basic lands and put them onto the battlefield. And notice that does not say tapped, so we can kind of use that to snowball and cast more spells if we can go for 3 or 5 mana, go find 1 or 2 lands and keep casting, which is kind of nice. So 2 copies of that. 3 copies of its bigger brother, Circuitous Route, for 4 mana, and this one lets us search our library for 2 basic land cards and or gate cards, and gates are the guild gates that come into play tapped, but produce 2 different colors of mana. So this will let us go get 2 of those. They do come into play tapped, which is not the end of the world because most of those guild gates come into play tapped anyway, so it only matters when you do that with basic lands. So 3 copies of that. 4 copies of Scape Shift. This is where the deck gets part of its name, Shift, for Zombie Shift. This is the core of the deck. This is a 4 mana sorcery, 2 green, 2 colorless, and basically it lets us sacrifice any number of lands we want and then go get that many lands out of our deck and put them into play tapped. So this is, there's a card this combos with very well. But again, it's not really mana fixing for us. It's a trick with a very special land that we're going to get to at the end of the deck. But yeah, basically substitute it lands in play, 4 lands in your deck, and it only costs 4 mana. So we can do other things in the turn if we get ramp up high enough to like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana. We can Scape Shift along with other stuff. So 4 copies of that. Scape Shift combos very well with this interesting enchantment saga. The Mending of Dominaria. So this guy, when it comes to play, it's a 3 lore counter saga. First 2 counters basically put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. We're only running 16 creatures, so that's not that good. But the 3rd clause there. So 1 counter when we cast it, 1 counter upkeep. On the 2nd upkeep or 3rd counter, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, then shuffle your graveyard into your library. That's amazing because we can potentially put a lot of lands into our graveyard with Scape Shift, so getting them all back and getting the rest of all of our spells and creatures shuffled into our library is great for anything against mill decks. So this is a very cool combo when it goes off. So 2 copies of that. So, one of the reasons why we're putting all those lands onto the battlefield with this deck is Tatiova Benthic Druid. It's the only legendary in our deck. It is 1 blue, 1 green, 3 colorless, so 5 mana for a 3/3, which sucks. But when a land enters the battlefield, we gain a life and we draw a card. So with all this ability to get the lands into play, this chick ends up healing us and drawing us a lot of cards if she sticks around. So last two cards in the deck that aren't lands, Finale of Glory. This deck used to be, it's actually the only white card in the deck, and so this deck used to run, the version 1 ran 3 mana Teferi, who was blue-white, one colorless, but I cut him because he was not doing much for me and kind of lame, so, but I put in Finale of Glory. So this is one of our 6 2 here, 4 here X spells, and again, this is not very difficult for this deck to get above 10 mana, and so just normally at 2 white and say 5X, we get 5 2/2 white soldier creature tokens with vigilance. That's not bad. If we can get X over 10, we get 10 of those, and we also get 4 white angel creature tokens with flying and vigilance. So, if X is 10, we get 20 creatures. If X is 12, we get 24 creatures, and that's very difficult to deal with. So, 2 copies of that. And then our other X spell is Hydroid Crossus. So we get 1 blue, 1 green for an X for one of my favorite creatures, a Jellyfish Hydra Beast. And this thing is nasty. It can, first of all, it doesn't have an enter the battlefield effect. When you cast this spell, you gain half X life and draw a half X card round down. So if we do 10 mana and make it an 8/8, we get 4 life and we draw 4 cards. That is, even if it gets countered, that thing happens. I mean, that's part of the spell. When you cast the spell, this happens. So it's a great spell for just that alone. And if it doesn't get countered, it comes into the battlefield as a 8/8 flying trample. That's amazing. So 4 cards, 4 life, 8/8 trample. And we can make this just like Finale of Glory. I've seen 15/15 Hydra Crisis that drew us 7 cards, which is amazing, and we gained 7 life. So lots of fun there. So that's the rampy, all the cards in the deck, and then the mana base is crazy. You'll see why here in just a second. There's one other card that all these kind of land draw combo with, or land into the battlefield combo with, which is I'll go to the mana base first. So we got 1 plains, 2 islands, 1 memorial to Genius, 2 forest, a blue-white Guildgate, blue-white Checkland, 2 hallowed fountains, 1 tranquil cove, blossoming sands, Celestia Guildgate. All these green, white, blue, basically dual lands. Some of them come into play and give you a life, some of them come into play and scry, some of them just come into play tapped. But there's lots of lands in this deck that are unique. There's some duplicates where the lands are really good, but all of that is all in support of Field of the Dead. So this amazing land comes to the battlefield tapped, and it taps to produce a colorless mana. So both of those suck. But what makes it amazing is the last little bit there. Whenever Field of the Dead or another land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. So what happens is, here's the optimal scenario. This thing is super broken under the right conditions. So let's say we got 7 lands out. It doesn't matter what they are, as long as 2 of them are green and 2 of them are untapped, besides those green. So we got 4 mana. We got 7 lands. We scape shift. We sacrifice 7 lands. We go digging in our deck, and we pick 1 Field of the Dead, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other lands. And then all 7 of those come into play at the same time. There's no clause on scape shift that says they come in a certain order. So they all get into the battlefield at the same time. They all see each other at the same time. So Field of the Dead triggers 7 times, and we get 7 2/2 zombies, or 14 damage to the face of our opponent when we swing with that. So that's like best case, that's what the deck blows up, goes off. That's what we want to see. But if we have like 10 or 11 or 12 lands, which is not that hard for this deck to do, and we sacrifice 11 or 12, then we go get 4 Field of the Deads. Like let's say we have 10 mana, we spend 4 and we scape shift. We go get 4 Fields of the Dead, plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other for a total of 7. That means that Field of the Dead is going to trigger 4 times 7, or 28 times. So we'll have 28 2/2s. So this will, I'm sorry, it will, 4 times 7, my bad, math, it's tough. It will trigger, whatever 4 times 7 is. I guess that is 28, isn't it? Yeah. Yes, it is 28. So it triggers a bunch of times. So good on me for math. Anyway, So again, every if that's the combo in the deck going off. If we if we scape shift at 7 or at 10 or whatever, but every spell we play after that puts lands into play continues to spit out zombies from Field of Dead, or if we happen to draw into Field of Dead, this deck just goes off and it generates so many tokens that it's very difficult for the opponent to kind of handle it. And there's almost no interaction. It's pretty much we're playing our own thing. If they kill our stuff, it's not that big of a deal as long as we hit the magic number of 7 and draw a scape shift or get lucky and put down some Field of Dead just early. This deck can definitely be difficult to deal with. So I think that's about it. I mean, it's land heavy. There's 27 lands in here, so that's unusual, but the mana bases are pretty good. I mean, it's covered with, there's lots of green in this deck, and there's lots of green mana symbols in the spells. Like I said, not a lot of creatures, very few instants. I think the only instants are growth spirals, a few sorceries, the 2 enchantments. The curve is nice. Everything's kind of low casting cost for the most part, and the average is 2.8. So if we get 3 lands to the board, we can usually cast anything at some point, or quickly after that. So that is basically the deck, and I'm going to go jump into a few games and check it out.
Somebody save your soul, cause you've been sinning in the city. I know too many troubles, all these lovers got you losing control. You like a drug to me, a luxury, my sugar and gold. I want the good life every good night, you're a hot one to hold. Cause you don't even know I can make your hands clap. Said I can make your hands clap. Somebody save your soul, cause you've been sinning in the city. I know too many troubles, all these lovers got you losing control. You like a drug to me, a luxury, my sugar and gold. I want your sex and your affection when they're holding you close. Cause you don't even know I can make your hands clap. Said I can make your hands clap. Every night when the stars come out, am I the only living soul around? Need to believe you could hold me down, cause I'm in need of something good right now. We could be screaming till the sun comes out, and when we wake we'd be the only sound. Get on my knees and say your friend change round. But I can make your hands clap.
pretend she's overboard and self-assured. Oh no, I know a dirty word. Hello, 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 hello. I'm worse, sad word. I do best and fullest guilt. I feel blessed. A little growth has always been and always will be until the end. Hello, 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 hello. With the lights out, it's less dangerous. Here we are now, entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. Here we are now, entertain us. Yes. It's less dangerous. Here we are now, entertain us. I feel stupid and contagious. Here we are now, entertain us. Yes, tell me mulatto and albino, a mosquito, my libido. Oh, denial, oh, denial, oh, denial, oh, denial, yes, oh, denial.
I heard there was a secret chord that David played and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do ya? It goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fall, and the major lift. The baffled king composing hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her bathing on the roof. Her beauty and the moonlight overthrew you. She tied you to her kitchen chair. She broke your throne, she cut your hair, and from your lips she drew the hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Now baby, I've been here before. I know this room, yeah, I walk the floor. I used to live alone before I knew ya. I I've seen your flag on the marble arch. But love is not a victory march. It's a cold and it's a broken hallelujah. 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 There was a time when you let me know what's really going on below, but now you never show it to me, do ya? And remember when I moved in you, and the holy dove was moving too, and every breath we drew was hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.